The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of our Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. Dystopia to America is what isekai is to Japan. That makes sense. I'm not fighting no one on that. But I also feel like this video fits into my niche because not only am I going to be talking about books from my childhood, Light Lark is technically a children's book. Young adult is young adult children's literature? I don't know, because when I was a kid, that's all I read was young adult. Now, I had no intentions on making this video until I saw Light Lark getting dragged on the internet. And then I remember when I was 14 years old, I read this trash novel right here. I hated this. You can tell that my little 13-year-old ass did not even care about this because look, I didn't even take care of the book. That's how much I did not like it when I read it. I'm sorry y'all, this book is ass. To me, you can't convince me that it's good. This video isn't gonna be about Light Lark in particular, but because of all the Light Lark hate I've been seeing, okay. From so much of what I've been seeing about Light Lark, I'm neutral on it because one, I don't plan to read it. And one thing I'm not gonna do is talk shit about a book I never read, so. Two, it's not in my target demographic no more. I am no longer interested in stories that are science fiction, dystopia specifically with what's going on here. And three, I think the reason why a lot of y'all are not liking Light Lark is because a lot of y'all just don't like dystopia anymore. Dystopia, ancient Greek for bad place, is a setting that takes a social political issue and amplifies it, creating a society that many of us would fear to live in. Often, they can be too one-noted. The author is thinking, capitalism sucks, for instance, and everything wrong with the world turns out to be clearly to be at the fault of nasty, corrupt corporate executives and their nasty and greedy mega corporations. Conversely, it could be government sucks, and the corporations at the last line of defense against the evil. I don't know how to pronounce this word, but we gonna see. Total literary bureaucrats. Either way, it's one-noted. Other dystopias are about how a multitude of things have gone wrong, and here we are, surviving with such a grace as possible. It's common in literature to create dystopia through the deconstruction of earlier creators' utopia, showing how horrible it would be to live in that utopia. Another purpose is to serve the big bad and the hero and his friends to revolt against. World of obstacles? Y'all, bear with me, it's late. World as obstacles, as it were. They were more likely to be toppled, at least escape from, than others. Occasionally, a fish out of water will seem to arrive at a utopia, only to find out it's really a dystopia for all but the elite. Like literally last night when I could not sleep, but I was tired as hell, I was watching my friend City Girl Writer. I'll link her channel down below, and she was talking about the Jade Legacy book series. And when I was just sitting here and listening to her review of this trilogy, it reminded me of why I'm not interested in this genre no more. Did Jade Legacy sound terrible from what she was talking about? No, but it reminded me a lot of why I just don't like dystopia anymore. From the ages of 12 to 16, I love me some dystopia, and that shit started with, I'm pretty sure, the one thing that got a lot of us into dystopia, that being the Hunger Games. I mainly fell in love with dystopia because I was in love with the Hunger Games and I wanted to find more stories like that. And you know how when you have so much of something, it can turn you off from it? I'm pretty sure that's what happened with me in dystopia. I was not feeling that spark with other dystopian novels as I was with the Hunger Games. And it's because it just wasn't the Hunger Games. I like the Hunger Games from what it was. The only other dystopia book series that I actually pretty much did enjoy, and I'm mad because I didn't even finish the whole book series, is Uglies. And it was interesting to see because there was a Uglies movie in the works during this time period when I was really interested in dystopia, and it just kept getting postponed and pushed back. And I see that they finally did film the damn movie, and I'm like, I'm happy that it got made, but I wish it came out in the past when I was younger because I probably would have been way more excited for it. Now I am gonna sit here and give y'all some reasons and insight why I just think the overall general public, not really I say the general public, but plenty of people just they're not feeling dystopia anymore. So we're gonna have more Divergent slander, by the way. I really hated this damn book. This shit was not good. One of the main reasons why I feel like dystopia just kind of fell off for a lot of people, including me, is because the books are too damn long. This shit should have been cut in half. So many of the pages in this book just feel like a lot of nothing. Like, it honestly reminded me so much of those fan fictions I used to read when I was like in middle school and high school. And the writer would spend one whole fucking chapter, sometimes two, of the character getting ready for their day, or what they're eating, or them brushing their teeth, or how they're showering, or how they're styling their hair. Like, I'm sorry, I can't stand those kind of scenes in books. I don't like them. Like, girl, it contributed nothing. Nothing! And it's funny because, like, I noticed because I hate this, when it comes to my writing, I like describe what things look like and feel like as little as possible, as little as I can. And my teachers have called me out on that. I blame dystopia, and I blame all the stories I read as a teenager. But it's not just dystopia that I have this problem with. It's the problem with a lot of literature, specifically modern literature in general. A lot of this shit is just unnecessarily long, and that's why so many people get discouraged from reading books. While some people are slower readers than others, including me, it took me a good ass minute to finish a book. It took me about 3 months to get through Divergent, mainly because I was reading when I was reading Divergent, it was like this Teen Titans fan fiction series that I would like read all the time. So that's part of the reason why it took me forever to finish this book, because I was so busy reading this. But also it just felt too long. I felt like so many of the paragraphs and even chapters to a certain extent really just could have been cut out. But have y'all noticed that a lot of people in this day and age, I'm pretty sure it was a big thing because a lot of academia be making people mean and snooty and thinking that they smarter than other people because they can do things for a longer amount of time or whatever the fuck. But a lot of people would literally turn away from reading a book if it is not long enough for them. If it doesn't have over like 300 pages, I know a lot of people don't gear towards books like that. Which blows me a little bit because so many of the most popular stories out here are short stories, like Animal Farm and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Fuck, The Killing Joke. You know, the Batman comic book, short story, and it still has a big impact on today. And that is part of the reason why the movie was asked, because they ended up putting in so much stuff that did not need to be included in there because of how short the book was. I'm sorry, y'all, like that scene, y'all know that scene from The Killing Joke, that's my villain origin story. I hate it. So many people put value into an author by how much and how long they can put into a story. And it just get on my nerves when people be like, oh, this person was able to write a 300 or 400 page book, 500 page book, because I'm pretty sure Divergent was about 500 pages. I don't fucking know. I hated all of it. And I'm like, yeah, just because the book is big, that does not always equal that it's good. Like, a lot of people like to say that because, you know, big books, you know, time, money, all of that. People tend to think that when something has more money and more time attached to it, that automatically means that it's better. And no, I'm not gonna say what film series I think this is, but a lot of those movies are not good. They're just beautifully shot and great special effects and costumes and fight scenes. But also, I found out that this really kind of contributes to people getting annoyed with these book to movie adaptations not really including anything in them, because so much from the book gets omitted from the movie because it was seen as unnecessary. And oftentimes it is. Like, that's one thing I wish people would kind of understand when it comes to book to movie adaptations. Not everything is going to be exact, because sometimes it costs money to make movies. It costs money to film shit. If you put every single last little detail in there that was in the book, that shit probably gonna be like 10 hours long. It's gonna be long. And I know somebody gonna get mad at me for this. I'm going to be as respectful as possible when I say this, because I know this story is written by a well-loved Black author. Fuck it, I'm not even saying the name of it. No. But I finished like half the book and I was just like, no. Because it was just so much of nothing happening. Like, yes, we meet the new person, we see the interactions, but like, it wasn't going anywhere. Like, nothing with the characters were progressing. Like, it's one thing if the plot don't really progress, but we see the character development do that. I wasn't really getting a sense of that with this book. Like, I got so annoyed with it, I actually went on Goodreads to see if anybody like felt the same way, and a lot of them did. And also, I was just too irritated because I was like, when is something finally going to happen in this book? And then I found out that nothing really happened until about like the last 30 to 40 pages of it. And I was just like, should I even finish this? Like, no. It's just, I'm actually mad that I didn't like that book, because I do want to be really supportive of Black authors, especially young authors at that, and I just was not with it. But then again, not every book that you read is going to be for you, and let's just say this book wasn't for me, and that's okay. Also, with a lot of dystopian novels being long, one thing that could contribute to why so many people fell out with these stories being so long is because it was so much distress in the story. Dystopia books can be really bad on your mental health. I know they were for me, because I remember when I finally finished reading the Hunger Games trilogy, my ass was devastated and depressed for a whole week. Dang, 13-year-old me should not have did that. But this leads me into my next point about why we just kind of fell off from the dystopia genre. And a lot of these books just feel like so much of the same thing. But one thing a lot of people don't seem to get when it comes to, you know, media analysis and whatnot, if you consume so much of one genre, you're going to see similarities within the work. As someone that loves slice of life storytelling along with coming of age, there are lots of similarities within those works, and oftentimes I do need a change. If I'm spending the whole day watching the Parkers and Neighborhood Story, I'm gonna take a break from that and go watch SpongeBob or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because while I do appreciate that being my one favorite genre that I've always drawn towards, you need a good media diet. It's not good to only consume one form of media. You need to watch other things and read other things so you can have different perspectives on art and understand things better. But when it comes to coming of age and slice of life storytelling, you're gonna see a lot of the same things, like long talks. Like, one thing a lot of people were getting annoyed with Death Proof. I love Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino. People were getting annoyed with it because they were like, this movie had too much talking. But I was like, that was the appeal of it. It was supposed to be very slice of life, a day in the life of these normal, regular women. I love long scenes just full of dialogue. That's just something I personally enjoy. But also, when it comes to slice of life storytelling, you're often going to see a lot of the same tropes, where characters going out to bars, characters going out to eat, or characters going to the club with each other. So it's a bit natural to notice that there's a lot of similarities in dystopia novels, because a lot of dystopia novels, they have similar tropes and similar stock characters. Because this list I found right here, I think perfectly sums up all of what you're gonna find when it comes to the dystopia genre. 5 characteristics of a dystopian fiction. The central theme of dystopian novels generally falls under these 5 categories. 1. Environmental destruction. Dystopian novels often occur in inhabitable places on Earth or settings preparing for collapse. Climate dystopia is a subcategory of dystopian fiction that explores the effects of climate change and global warming. 2. Government control. Government plays a significant role in dystopian literature. Generally, there is no government or an oppressive ruling body. 3. Loss of individualism. Many dystopian futures depict the dangers of conformity and explore how the need of society as a whole compares to individual needs. 4. Survival. The oppressive powers and destruction of dystopian worlds often lead the inhabitants to fend for themselves. 5. Technological control. Advanced science and technologies in dystopian works go beyond tools for improving everyday life. Technology is often depicted as controlling, omnipresent force, and is often a fear-mongering tactic. So basically, in order for something to fit into this category, there has to be some kind of uprising. There gotta be people dying. There gotta be some weird ass signed down made up words that sound utterly ridiculous, like in this day and age. I could not get over the name Plutarch Evergreaves. That from the Hunger Games, I was like, what is this? It's just so draining to be consumed with so much of the same thing, which leads me into my next point of why so many people just fell off with dystopia, and that's because it became mainstream. I remember when I was in middle school and high school, dystopia was everywhere. It was everywhere and everything was in it. It's literally a reflection on what is on the book cover of this shit. Y'all see this? Talking about Goodreads choice. The choice, no. I kid you not. I remember the year that this shit came out, everybody had this book in their reading on Goodreads. And the amount of disappointed I saw in them reviews. Whew. By the way, I found out that like I said, I only read the first book and I never went back because I did not see the point in continuing to read and watch something that I obviously don't like. I've heard that the books get worse than this, and I was just like, yeah, that's another reason why I'm staying away. Like, wow, this book is really what our Hunger Games obsessed asses went to when we wanted more Hunger Games and we're getting impatient with the movies taking forever to come out. This is what we resorted to. By the way, I'm not saying Veronica Roth is a bad writer because I think she does pretty well when it comes to, like, you know, grammar and all of that. But I'm sorry, the story was just not hidden, nor were the characters. And also, okay, this is my last time throwing shade about Divergent, but like, so much was happening in here to the point where it was just very confusing. Okay, that's all I'm doing. I'm done. I'm not saying anything else about that book. But aside from that, all of these dystopia books that did come out before both Divergent and the Hunger Games, a lot of them were getting resold all over again. I remember in Barnes & Noble, the bookstore, there was a whole list of dystopia novels because this is like the dystopia craze that we were in. These books were all on like the New York Times bestsellers list. And these books end up hitting mainstream success with a few of them getting movies and TV shows, because I'm pretty sure Shadowhunters, the Mortal Instrument, is considered dystopia just as well. I don't know, I never read it. And by the way, these movies were, you know, the main purpose of Hollywood is to, 1, make money, and then to 2, entertain. These movies was making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Dystopia was that girl. But you know, when someone is the it girl, they're gonna be seen everywhere. And then you know what happens next? If people see the it girl everywhere, they start to hate on her. And that's literally what happened with dystopia. While Divergent is terrible, I'm sorry, I had to put that last whack in here. Around the time that the first movie for this came out, everybody was like, but when the second one came out and I saw a lot of people disliked it, and they disliked it way more than they disliked the first, that was a sign that this was kind of falling out. People were just sick and tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over again. When it comes to dystopia, in order for it to fall in that genre, it kind of has to be a lot of the same thing. But why, when it comes to slice of life storytelling, as this genre is, you know, one of the most basic ones out there, why are we able to do more with slice of life than we are with dystopia? Because there's so many different ways that you can do slice of life. Like you can do race, gender, culture, location, all 4 of these things, and religion just as well, 5 things. All of these things can contribute to why so many slice of life stories are different from one another. Because I know in particular, like when it comes to anime, so much of like the culture over there is so different than it is here in America. Of course, what the kids do for fun and all of that jazz is going to be different than what a lot of kids at high school and middle schools are doing. Because I used to get so confused when I would be like watching anime and I would be so lost about what they were saying, because I was just like, no, that's not correct. What do you mean year 1 and 2? And then I had to look it up and they were like, oh, that's what they call it over there in that country. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's funny because even like certain foods are called different over there, because over here we call them green onions and they call them leeks. So I was like, no, that's a green onion. I'm pretty sure, are a leek and a green onion the same thing? They taste the same, I don't know, comment down below. But all of these things contribute to the stories being different in their own kind of ways because of the major differences that come into play with where they choose to tell the story at, what they want the characters' professions to be and all that jazz, and the characters' races to a certain extent. But because of the setup of dystopia, so much of it kind of has to be a lot of the same, and it just got stale. And when people see so much of the same thing and then it becomes mainstream, it pushes them away. Like, I honestly was getting so sad when I was seeing so much of the online hate that I was seeing towards Lightlark. But also, I was just like, I feel like a lot of y'all are just not interested in this form of storytelling anymore. Because when it comes to dystopia, that genre right there, most of those books are young adult. I'm pretty sure Jade Legacy is new adult. So when it comes to young adult literature, we're just not the target demographic for that. And then that means that we're not really going to enjoy so many of those stories that are not in our targeted demographic. Especially like, let's take josei and shonen. I love me some josei, but shonen, a lot of it I can't stand. But that's because shonen is not meant for me, but josei is. Sometimes some things are just not meant for you no more. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. She was giving alien superstar hair. A lot of y'all been telling me that y'all been liking this hair, and thank you, but like, y'all, it's not mine. This is a wig. This is wig. Okay, I've been having a lot of fun with like wearing wigs lately and all that. But you guys want to know ways you can support me? I have Patreon. I have donation links like buy me a coffee and Ko-fi. Link will be down below. I have a web series called The Progenies. Please check that out. I have 2 books coming out on my website, harriyannahook.com, coming soon. I will give more updates when I get them. Also, merch at harriyannahook.com. Use code HOTSPOT30 for 30% off your order. What's next? The Progenies, my web show. I'm pretty sure I said that already, but links to that will be down below. And just follow me on everything at Harriyanna, HARRIYANNA. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a good night.
Puff girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff